Good morning, happy Saturday morning. I'm about to make breakfast and it is one of my all-time favorite indulgent treats. It's a total comfort food for me because my mom used to make this for me when I was a kid. And since it is so decadent, I think it's just perfect for like a weekend morning breakfast when you kind of want to treat yourself, treat whoever you're making breakfast for. And it's so good. So what I'm gonna make is cinnamon toast, but it's like legit hardcore cinnamon toast. I'm not talking about toasting a piece of bread and then buttering it and sprinkling some cinnamon sugar. No, no, no. This is a whole nother thing. It's a very involved little process, but you can still whip it up in about probably 15 minutes. So it's doable. I think it's so good. I think I would rather have this than like pancakes or waffles or anything else. So I figured I can't keep this to myself. I have to share it with you guys and I will show you what's for breakfast. So the first step, you're gonna want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Let that be warming up while you assemble everything else. So this is what you need to make it. It's actually pretty simple. It's just 4 things. So first of all, you're gonna need bread, obviously. This is what I'm going to make Nate's on. It's just a wheat bread. This is what I'm going to make mine on. It's a gluten-free bread. Either one will work. I will say it's really good with gluten-free bread, so that might be a way to slightly modify this recipe to make it slightly less indulgent, but no matter what, it is a treat. Because then you also need sugar, just plain old, good old sugar, and butter. This is the one I'm going to be using. This is one of the best I've found. But if you're vegan, or if you do want like a slightly healthier alternative, you could use something like Smart Balance or Earth Balance, which is dairy-free margarine. Just substitute it for the same amount of butter. And then the only other 2 ingredients that you need are cinnamon and vanilla extract. And I will say the vanilla extract really makes a difference in this recipe. So if you can spring for like a nicer one, this is organic Madagascar vanilla. So delicious. It really makes a big flavor impact. But that's all you need, so I'll show you how to whip it up. So the recipe that I'm going to post below this video is based on making 4 pieces of cinnamon toast. You can obviously cut it down or multiply it if you want to make more or less. But so this calls for a half a stick of butter. And I left this out to soften. It's not terribly soft, but I think it'll work. I was going to say though, if you didn't soften your butter, here's a good little hack, which is just grate the butter over a bowl, the hard stick of butter. And the little butter shavings that come out will soften so much faster than an actual stick of butter would. So little hack there, but I think I'm gonna be able to just cut this. So I put the half a stick of butter in a mixing bowl and I just kind of mushed it up with a fork to get started. Next, I'm gonna add the sugar, which is a 1/4 cup of just plain white sugar. Next, I'm adding the cinnamon. I have about a teaspoon here. If you really, really love cinnamon, you could totally add more than that. I think the more the better, honestly, in this recipe. And the vanilla extract. By the same token, if you're not huge on vanilla, maybe do a little bit less than a teaspoon. I do a whole teaspoon of vanilla and I think it tastes delicious. And that's it. That's the only ingredients. So I'm just gonna mash this up with a fork until I have a delicious cinnamon, sugary, vanilla butter. I'm sure there's a more elegant way to mush up this butter mix, but I just take the fork, smush it together, and occasionally use a knife to kind of get it off the fork since it sticks. But if your butter is softer than mine, it will work better, or if you grated it like I mentioned. But mine is kind of just in a slightly less forgiving state. But I'm gonna beat it into submission. And honestly, once you taste this cinnamon sugar butter, you'll understand why we're not making cinnamon toast the traditional way. It's so life-changing. It's amazing. And you could also use this kind of butter on something else. Like if you want to serve biscuits, that'd be a real Southern breakfast. But I love having like a flavored butter. You could also add honey. There's so many ways that you could kind of tweak this to your own desires. As you can see, it's just taken on the consistency of any other butter, but with all these other ingredients incorporated, so it has a whole new flavor. It's a whole new world. It's so good. So this is what the consistency is that you're aiming for. It's just a chunky butter full of the crystallized sugar and the cinnamon flavor and tons of vanilla flavor. So I just take a baking sheet and cover it with foil to protect it, and I have these 2 pieces of bread, which are Nate's wheat bread, these 2 pieces of bread, which are my gluten-free bread, and the butter concoction. So now I'm buttering the toast, and the key here, even though it feels kind of wrong, is to be really generous with the spread. So yep, it's decadent, but if you skimp on it, your bread won't come out with that perfect texture that this is going to have, which is like a crystallized, crunchy, sugary top and a warm, gooey center underneath where the bread is still just soft and delectable and everything like that. Because the spread on top really protects the bread in the oven so it doesn't burn to a crisp. And that's part of the reason I'm taking the spread all the way to the edges so that you don't have any burnt, like black edges from being in the oven. The whole thing just becomes crystallized and delicious. All right, so these beauties are ready to go in the oven. So it's just on the center rack, it's all preheated, and they just need to be in there for about 10 minutes to let the butter start to have its magical transformation. While the bread is cooking, I'm just gonna fix up some scrambled eggs. So I just cracked the eggs in here, whipped them up, I seasoned it with salt and pepper, very standard. Super simple, but I would definitely recommend serving this breakfast with some kind of protein because it's just carby, sugary goodness otherwise, and it won't really keep you full. So add some scrambled eggs. I'm gonna add a little fresh fruit, and that'll be our Saturday indulgence. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. Let's see how this is looking. Oh, it looks so good. So you can see it's starting to get kind of bubbly. The butter is definitely melted and drenching into the bread. And so I just like to finish it off at this stage with a little bit of broil. So I'm gonna switch this onto broil. And you have to be very, very responsible with this step. Do not leave and do anything else because it will burn so fast. But our goal is just to really caramelize and crisp up the top of the bread. So I'm gonna keep a close eye on it, leave it in here for probably 1 to 2 minutes until I see that those bubbles are starting to look like they've crystallized. You don't wanna burn it, but you do wanna make sure it has that lightly crisped top. Okay, let's double check these. Yes, it's been about 2 minutes. And those look pretty perfect to me. That bubbling that's occurring on top is what you're going for. You don't want to let it go too long so that they don't dry out. So this is a good time to pull it out. So this level of caramely deliciousness is exactly what I was going for. And it's ready to eat. So for presentation's sake, I like to cut these diagonally. This is a hearty Saturday morning meal. So we have some scrambled eggs, half a banana, and 2 pieces of cinnamon toast. Let's see how it turned out. Like breakfast in the now we're in household right here. Anyway, I told Nate he doesn't have to be on camera because I just dragged him out of bed. But how was it, babe?
So delicious. I love it when you make this.
Aw. Husband approved. Gluten-free version is also approved.
Mm-hmm. I tried that one too.
So bon appetit.
Thank you.
It passed the empty plate test. I think it was good.
Yeah.
It was pretty darn good.
But it feels wrong, but it feels right.
It feels so right. All done. That was so yummy, and I hope you guys got some inspiration for your own decadent breakfast. Let me know if you try this recipe or what you like to make in the comments down below. Make sure you hit subscribe so you see all the goodness to come. I do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and so I will see you guys very soon. Bye.